I really wanted to push the car. And I pushed it. The car was behaving beautifully. I was doing about 120, 130 kilometers.
On this car?
Yeah, this car. When I came back from US after my studies, my father sold that Volkswagen. I said, why did you sell it? He said, I don't like idle stuff staying in the house, so I just sold it. The bug started biting me in 2003.
The bug.
The bug. One after another, you know.
Change the gears in the cars, you don't feel that it's an old car.
That is also the skill of the driver.
But Jalori Pass was totally different. Started off as a gradient of maybe 25 to 30 degrees, and it went on and on and on and on. I have to do first gear, second gear, first gear, second gear. Because at that time I lost my
brake booster.
Brake booster was completely gone. My car slid in the slush and hit a stone. I thought it hit my crank or something. Then I saw the oil pressure, it was fine.
Were you scared?
Because I don't know anything about cars, I just watching him.
Vanakkam. Welcome to Indulge. So today we have a very interesting personality and his better half with us. We have Ranjit Pratap and Uma Pratap today speaking for us on their love of passion for cars. Now, as you know, Ranjit and Uma, of course, I must add, have recently completed the Himalayan Drive, and they were one of the only two people in the Classic section from India who did this. And what a tough and grueling part that was. So we will come and talk about that as well in a bit. But first, let's talk to Ranjit and Uma about their passion for classic and vintage cars and see how it all started and what we are all about. Good morning, Ranjit. Nice to have you with us. Good morning, Uma. Very nice to have you with us. So the fundamental question that always comes to mind is that how did your passion for vintages and classics start?
As a kid, I was very fond of these cars. And my grandfather was the dealer for all the cars many years ago in 50s. He started his journey in automobile in 1920s. And he was a dealer for all the American and British cars and trucks also. So when I was a kid, I used to see a lot of different kinds of cars coming into the house and going. And so I lived with that fascination for, the old classics. I mean, in 53 when I was born and in 56 when I was 3-4 years, these were cars which were more classic cars. So, and I somehow didn't have fascination for vintage as much. But, in our family we had cars coming in and going out. We were rotating cars every 5 years. So, but the impression of nostalgia, comes in when you go to school in some car and suddenly after some years you go back in memory lane and say, oh, these cars were the cars which we used to have in our house and, we used to go to school. Part of the family and things like that. So, we did have some 4 or 5 cars still lying, like my grandfather's car, my father's car and my uncle's cars lying with us in the house, which were in our possession but in a neglected spot. So we were mostly in the modern cars, rotating modern cars every 5 years changing or every 3 years changing. So when I went to college and I came back from US, I started buying modern cars from STC. And so the passion was there. But in early 2000, my friend Guhan was, I think, a spark to ignite that old memories
Classic
cars. So he started buying suddenly and said, come to my garage. And one day and I saw some 5 or 6 or maybe 10 classic cars. And then I said, I liked one fin-tail Mercedes. It was 111, 230S. Then I asked him, I have been following this car because it belonged to Greenway Shipping. And so Om Prakash was the owner and he had it for many years. And then when he was sick, his son was trying to sell it off. So I think a dealer brought it to Guhan. I loved that car. I said, Guhan, if you're not taking this car, I'll take it. So it all started from there. That 2002-03, I bought that car from Guhan. I had 3-4 cars in my garage.
The family cars.
Family cars. And I had a Volkswagen in my college through STC. When I went into college, my father got me this.
No, variant.
No, it was a Beetle. It's a left-hand drive Beetle. It was a 69 model. We bought in 1972, and it was beautiful. I'd done only 18,000 kilometers. Belonged to the German consulate. So I used that car for 4 years in my college, and so that was a fascination. So when I came back from US after my studies, my father sold that Volkswagen. I said, "Why did you sell it?" He said, "No, I don't like idle stuff staying in the house, so I just sold it." So I wanted to get back. I couldn't get a good Beetle at all. Mine was like peach condition, and I looked after it very well. So after some time, I was searching. Then a friend of mine said there was a car, yeah, a doctor brought from Dubai, and it's in. A guy bought it from him from Kerala, and it's in Salem now. So I took the next. There was no flight those days. I took the train to Salem, saw the car, bought the car because it was intact, but it had to be brought up to our levels. So I bought that car. That was the starting point again. This was in 95.
What year was the Beetle?
The Beetle was 1979.
79, Mexico.
It's a Mexican, no, Brazilian.
Brazilian model. Huh.
But it was immaculate shape. It needed some small work mechanically, but very good shape. So I took that car, it came in 95. And then I forgot about, I kept that car and just kept it because it's old memories, college memories. So when this started, the bug started biting me in 2003,
The bug.
the bug. And then one after another, people knew that I was collecting cars. So all over my friends were saying, this car is available, that car is available. So in a matter of 5-10 years, I collected quite a sizable number of classic cars. Then I decided instead of giving it outside and going after people and getting done, because I want everything to be perfect. So, and when I give it somewhere, it doesn't come back in time. So I set up my own garage, got my own mechanics. Very difficult to find people with knowledge of old cars who can repair them and things like that. So finally I did it. I set up the whole thing. I had the space in my house, so that was what it was and how it grew from there.
Super. But I'll come to you for a second. How interested are you in cars, or how has your interest developed over a period of time where, you support the passion and the hobby? I see you come for all the drives and also that must be something, getting up on an early Sunday morning and coming all the way. But how has been your passion and has it developed over the ages?
And in recent times, about 5 years back, I started realizing how important are cars for Ranjit. When we went for this Jaipur car rally, they were different cars and they are from 1900s. At that time, I realized how important cars for Ranjit and how beautiful they are. Each car had its own character, and you can see them. It gives lot of passion and the beauty of the cars, like Jaipur Maharaja's cars and other Maharajas of India. So that's how I got interested. And I started enjoying a drive with Ranjit every day, mornings, and for all these car shows.
Okay. So, Ranjit, if I come back to you, now you talked about your interest for classics. So, do you have more European classics, American classics, or what is what is your shift towards?
See, initially I was fascinated by the German cars like Volkswagens, Mercedes, not so much of BMWs and Audis because they developed much later. The quality of these cars, like BMW developed in 60s, mid 60s. Audi came in much later. So, but I started liking BMW for its sportiveness. But my fascination was always for Mercedes and Volkswagens. So I decided I must have the range of Volkswagens, the rear air-cooled engines. So that's how I started first with the Beetle, then I went to the variant because I had a variant also from the STC,
Right.
which was belonged to the German consulate. Then I was fascinated by the common gear, but I didn't know where to get it. So I tried my best, just couldn't lay my hands on common gear. So I bought the bus, the microbus. Then I bought then there was another fascination for me to buy the notchback. Because my uncle had the notchback way back in 70s. He got it from the STC. I was fascinated by that car because I never seen a notchback in the rear air-cooled engine of Volkswagen. So then Udavir Singh, a friend of mine from Bangalore, he one fine morning called and said there was a notchback in very bad condition. Everything is dismantled. So immediately I sent the flatbed to pick it up. That's somewhere in Ahmedabad somewhere. So I got the car, restored it in my garage. So that is running now. Then my aunt was coming back from UK. So asked her to buy a common gear, and she got it along in the TR. And I restored it beautifully, and it's all with me now.
So now you have a common gear as well. But I'll switch back to you. So, driving these and moving in these cars is not very easy. I mean, we are now all used to air conditioning, for example, and this thing. So we find it difficult. Don't you find it a bit of a challenge, or do you think that it's okay to go with that in a classic car?
I don't know about the air conditioner of the cars. Latest cars is okay, but driving with Ranjit, because you'll get the air because you put the windows down. So I never felt there is no AC.
Or it's uncomfortable.
It's not at all uncomfortable because the wind was always early in the mornings. So it was it's not difficult. I mean, it's not challenging because it was nice and enjoyable, very enjoyable drive. I mean, in the old car, because each car have a different color and different characters. So I never felt the difference. No AC or
No AC or something, because that is the biggest challenge, especially in Chennai weather.
yes, yes. And one more thing, the cars are, I mean, the engines are very smooth, I think, when you change the gears in the cars. You don't feel that it's an old car. I mean,
That is also the skill of the driver.
he drove very well, so I never felt the difference. It was always enjoyable. I mean, I started noticing the gears in the cars, each one is different. The inside the cars, they have the plugs and the
Switches.
system switches and everything. Each car have a different
Character and a personality, so to speak. So, Ranjit, in your collection, which is the oldest car that you have?
You see, I liked a Ford T model because my grandfather always said Henry Ford made a great success of Model T. And in Model T, what happened was we went to the Cartier show. I participated in Hyderabad in, I think, 2016 or 17. And then I saw a beautiful T model convertible, which a friend of mine from Bombay had imported. And at that time, they just opened the imports for the vintage cars. So I was fascinated by that. So a friend of mine, I called a friend in Philadelphia and said, can you get me a nice T model in original shape, because I can't restore it in India because it's very difficult to restore a T model. He said, I'll find one. So within 6 months, he called me and said he found a very good car, and I imported that. So I have that with me. And
That's one of your few American classics.
no, it is a part of my vintage collection. And Americans, I have a lot of American classics also. Classics, for me, the cars which I love, I don't, focus on America or Europe or Germany or anything. Any classic car which I like, for example, the Peugeots. I had a 404 when I came back from America. I bought for 35,000 rupees in Delhi STC. It was such a beautiful car. I thought I'll refuse it, but I kept it like gold because it was so nice. And then I had to sell it and buy something else. I bought a 132 Fiat at that time in late 70s. So, those days we never gave importance for, classic cars as such. It was the type of the car that was available in that period. So we said, okay, we have to sell and get a better car and things like that. So now if you realize back, I think I had such wonderful cars. I don't know why I sold it, I think. But fortunately, I could get back some of my prized possessions which I owned those days again in my collection now. Not the same, but similar cars.
What about spare part issues? How do you manage? I mean, I know you told me you have set up your own restoration and garage unit, but how do you manage the spare parts? Also because you have a large variety and they are different.
It is difficult. Sometimes I don't get the parts and I have to make those parts. And I have a very good machine shop in my factory. So some of the engine parts and suspension parts which are not available, which is easier to make, I make. Sometimes I make my own moldings also. Maybe it is cast iron and I machine it. But most of the times I get my parts somehow or the other. For example, for the Peugeot, when Rajan Sayal told me that I have to participate, I was thinking to myself, which are the cars? So he said roads are not so good, but not bad, much better. But
And that was an understatement.
it was totally an understatement because he also apologized afterwards and said, I said, Rajan, I thought it was tarmac and in some places it was bad, but there was no tarmac, literally. There was some patches of tarmac. So anyway, the point is I have a guy appointed solely for taking care of my cars in my office whose job is only to look for spare parts. So he's on the computer most of the time looking for spare parts and I get the spares. For my Peugeot especially when I decided to put it on the Himalayan rally and I had to redo the entire suspension, bush kit, steering column bushes, cluster. Some of the points in the cluster speedometer was not working. Some very critical areas like the heater switches and heater element, thermostats and things like that. So I had to import these things and I didn't know where to find. So I got some parts from Argentina, some from Egypt, some from South Africa, some from Australia.
Wherever the car had gone.
Wherever I could find these things, because Peugeot 504 has been outdated and not a very
What year is this car? The one that you have?
77.
77. So a lot of the parts you have to source from
All
around
over the world. I got the instrument cluster brand new from Argentina.
Okay, new old spare.
Old part, new. I would say old, new space.
And the car reliably completed the rally.
Completed the rally. Nobody ever expected it to finish because there were 10 classic cars which really started from Delhi. And when we came back, there were only two. One was Prithviraj Tagore from Calcutta in his 180 Mercedes and my car. All the others had to give up.
Okay, so since we're talking about this, let me talk a little bit about the rally. But before I come to you, I would like to ask ma'am something. That is, you knew that what you're going in for, because if it's a rally, it means it's a tougher condition than, let's say, a normal tour. So were you mentally prepared to go for a long and grueling event like this?
To be frank, I heard about Himalayan Rally when I was small. When my brother used to participate in Himalayan Rally, I thought it will be a normal, like Jaipur car rally or something like that. I never expected Ranjit will drive for such a long distances. The second part is guiding him and telling him how to go, the routes which they can.
Navigation part.
Navigation. And the first time I did the navigation with him, really it was a very thrilling and a different experience, different place, different terrain and everything. And this is the first time I did that, but it's okay. I finished.
No, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, a different experience of altogether. That took car, very old car, not very old car. Maybe it must be 50 years.
Almost 50 years old. But Ranjit, up to Mussoorie, I think the road was okay.
No.
No, even there also the road was bad.
The road was good from Delhi to a point where we went to Ramnagar. We had to branch off from the main highway to Ramnagar. And the first 100 kilometers was good because it was a 6-lane highway. Tarmac. And then when we branched off into a smaller route to Ramnagar, that's the Jim Corbett Park, it started. And I thought it's going to be just for a few kilometers. But it ended up for the entire 80 kilometers. The road was absolutely destroyed. It was in the plains, not in the hills. But even there, the roads were completely gone. There were no roads.
So you were happy that you had done up the suspension of the Peugeot?
Yeah, I had done up the suspension of the Peugeot and I was preserving it because I knew there would be, Rajan Sayal told me there will be some bad patches there. You have to be very careful, especially when you're coming down the Jalori Pass. But I never expected there was no road. In the 2,000 and odd kilometers we drove, maybe there were good tarmac in 400 or 500 kilometers only.
That's all. You were telling me it was really challenging to go up and down Jalori Pass. Can you tell us something?
You see, what happened, I never expected Jalori Pass to have one steep gradient all the way for 10 kilometers or 8 kilometers, between 8 and 10 kilometers. So my car was a diesel, so it has torque but not the power. So I was just thinking, how would I nurse it up? Because I found it very difficult to climb very steep gradients. So I had to really go in first gear and develop the momentum to take on to the steep and all. But every time I went over a steep gradient, maybe it was 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, then it used to flatten out and again take off like that. But Jalori Pass was totally different. It started off as a gradient of maybe 25 to 30 degrees, and it went on and on and on and on, maybe 35 degrees, and went unbelievable. I posted some pictures, you
Yeah,
can see that.
yeah.
And many of the classics, my generation classics, could not climb. They got heated up and things like that. So what I decided is, if I keep on revving and putting it in first gear and second gear, I have to do first gear, second gear, first gear, second. The moment I start racing and changing gears, my heater needle were going up. So I decided, as soon as I knew it's gradient now, because the road book told me it's gradient all the way 8 kilometers or 9 kilometers. So I just put it in first gear. I nursed the car at 10 kilometers of speed and just took it all the way up at 10 kilometers. So the needle was hovering just below the red line. But my other counterparts, they just couldn't climb up. They were stopping, filling water and cooling the car, coming up. So I was one among the first cars to finish along with the modern classics.
Okay.
So the guys were shocked. How did you do this? You are way behind us. And all of them had parked at Jalori Pass, and I parked only for a few minutes, took some pictures and just ran off. So the guys who were behind me, who were ahead me, were coming behind. They said, what did this guy do? Did he come by a helicopter and drop his car there? So they said, what did you do? What did you do? I said, no, I just passed you guys.
What about down?
Down was a challenge because at that time I lost my booster.
Brake booster.
Brake booster was completely gone. I had only 20% brake. So I don't know whether you know Sudev Brar. He told me, Ranjit, I said, should I come down this? He said, it's very steep. It's your skill. I said, I can drive, but if the car rattles down at that speed, even at first gear, then I can't do because I've been to Sigur and all. He said, you can do it. Just make up your mind that you can do it. So even before I started, he gave me a lot of confidence. He said, you can do it. I said, can I climb the steep? He said, don't worry, yaar, we're all there. Something happens, I have a flatbed at the back, I'll put it on. Just positively you drive. So that confidence I drove. I climbed up to the Jalori Pass and I stopped. My car was boiling. Few minutes only, because I knew it's all descent after that. The descent I had to put in first gear, hammer the leg onto the brake, hold it so tight, and hairpin bends, and boulders, no tarmac, full boulders, and slush. So at one point of time, my car slid in the slush and hit a stone. I thought it hit my crank or something. Then I saw the oil pressure, it was fine. So I just moved on like that. 18 kilometers, it was torture for me. Hairpin bends and very steep gradients. And I was all the time in first gear.
Were you scared?
Because I don't know anything about cars, I just watching him. And what
She was
was and we are very corner of that valley. I mean, I am very scared whether it can go down. So just looking the edges of the boundaries of the car and telling, okay, little bit of further, and it's a first left and first right. So now I find it very difficult could have been for Ranjit to drive the car. So the way he was explaining it, so because I don't know anything, I was very comfortable and I was sitting and enjoying the.
So it was quite a challenge to.
since she didn't know much about cars and driving, she couldn't relate the kind of turmoil I was going through.
Trying to be brave outside, but
Yeah, I was trying to be brave and trying to see how I can maneuver the whole thing because I didn't have power steering. There was no power steering in the car, so it was like a, every you're like a truck, and I had to reel and gears. And the funny part was the horn was in the lever, in the indicator lever, so I just couldn't press this. So this horn on one side and turning the wheel. If the horn is in the ring or in the center button, I could have managed. But one side I had to turn the hairpin bends and hit the horns because it was madness there. The roads are only 10 to 12 feet, and the opposite direction cars were coming at such breakneck speeds. People don't know how to drive. I had to go off the road and come back, and at times it was so very difficult.
which was the next section after that? After Jalori?
After Jalori, we came down very steeply down, and the worst part is there were some small villages. Bra Road, no, the road book is there. We got stuck for 2 hours in one village.
Why is that?
That's because the roads were very narrow, and there was a two-way traffic, and buses and trucks were all allowed. And the villages, the funny part was people were stopping the cars to do some shopping, and the whole convoy will be stuck. So like that I got stuck in this very busy village, and there was a 2-kilometer pile-up on both sides. And the funny part is the police, instead of stopping one side and letting one car go, he was asking both sides to come. It was very funny. It was absolute chaos.
But then you got the car repaired and you had your brake booster.
Nothing. I couldn't repair it because I tried calling Bombay, tried calling Delhi, tried calling Bangalore. Nobody could get this kind of a booster.
So you drove it in that condition
I
till
drove
the
it
end.
in that condition, all through. Halfway through, it gave way. Somewhere near, just before, I think, Mussoorie. And from there, it was all 20% brake and my handbrake.
That's commendable. With just 20% braking, you managed it. Wow, that was good. So you were one of the first people to finish. You were one of the few people to finish.
What happened was, after Manali, we were supposed to take the highway back to Chandigarh. So again in the mountains, total washout, but not so bad like how it was up in the Himalayas, in Jharkhand and HP, Himachal. This side is slightly better, but lot of broken roads, especially around when we are coming down the river bays, complete washout. Roads, there were no roads at all. So that was quite daunting, 40 to 50 kilometers from Manali to...
Without full braking.
Braking, and the roads
were gone.
And again coming down,
Steep.
It was steep. Not very steep,
But
I should say.
still.
But it was bad. But the enjoyable part was to see the beautiful tunnels they have made now recently.
You went through the Atal tunnel.
I went through Atal, but when we coming back to Chandigarh, there were 3 new tunnels, not as long as the Atal, but very good tunnels. Excellent workmanship and very impressive for Government of India to have done these new roads and system. But the roads were not very good. Till I joined the main highway in the plains. So when I joined the main highway in the plains at about 2:30, we left at about 9, 8:45 or 9. And it took us about 4 hours. We stopped for lunch, just for some tea and coffee or something in between. And then we drove back. When we drove back, again I had to go through some bad sections for 10 kilometers and then join the main highway. The main tarmac, when they joined the highway, which was some places 6 lane and some places mostly 4 lane, I really wanted to push the car. And I pushed it. The car was behaving beautifully. And the traffic was also not too bad, except in certain pockets. I was doing about 120, 130 kilometers.
On this car?
Yeah, in this car. Wow. So you wouldn't believe it. The guys who went away much before me, I caught up with them, overtook them, and I was one among the 7th, I was the 7th or 8th car who finished at the finishing point in Chandigarh.
Wow.
All modern classics foreigners, 34 cars, I think, or 30 cars from all over the country, in Europe and Singapore and Bhutan and Malaysia and things like that. Vietnam also. But the basic thing was the Indian section. What happened was certain people took the modern four-wheel drives and they drove. So they were all ahead of us. But I was fortunate to reach much before them. Some British rally drivers had reached earlier than me. But what happened was Uma could read the map, the tulip, as also the road book by the name very well. So when we came into Chandigarh, we had to drive inside Chandigarh almost about 10 kilometers. And you know, the turns, left
Roundabouts,
turn,
this, that.
roundabouts, so many roundabouts.
Yeah, and in Chandigarh, they're very particular. The traffic police is very particular about how you.
Yeah, and speed limits and things like that.
And no break.
No brakes also. So I had to really, that was tremendous judgment where I had to use, and I mean, I made it. I really made it. That was so satisfying at the end of the day when I completed 2,000 and odd kilometers.
So, a question for both of you: would you do it again?
I will not do it.
No.
Not this kind of a rally.
You think it's too punishing on the cars?
One is too punishing on the body and the car. The car I can replace it, but the tension in the mind and the body at this age of mine, and I don't think I can take it. But I will definitely drive. But it'll not be so severe.
Maybe the roads will get better. Who knows?
Roads will get better, but I don't want to take a chance because, suddenly rains can destroy even the best of roads. Because the rains are so strong and the rivers are so strong, they flow, they overflow, and they kill everything on the banks of the river.
So, congratulations on being the only two,
Classic,
first
old
of the only two
classics.
classics to finish. I want to, for a moment, come back to your this thing. So, what is your eyes set on next? What car is your next car that you want?
What I was thinking is I have some, I have about 20-year-old Prado Land Cruiser. Maybe I would like to take that and do a desert safari in Rajasthan.
Okay.
That's on my.
That's that Indian-made car, the 4-liter V6.
No, it's a six-cylinder.
Yeah, 6.
4.6, I think. No, six-cylinder.
It's a beautiful car.
Beautiful car. It's not diesel.
It's petrol, yes.
And I love that car.
Lovely cars to drive.
Beautiful car. And even today, it drives like a brand new car.
That is true. Well, you are lucky to be here where there is no 10 or 15-year rule for cars.
Correct. You're right. You're right.
These cars can become a major problem. So good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much,
Thank you so
Ranjit.
much. Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you and loved your experience.
Thank you. Thank you so
About this thing. So yes, that is where Ranjit and Uma shared the story of the Himalayan Drive and their love and passion for cars. I hope you enjoyed watching this podcast. Be with us. We will come back soon with, again, something that's worthy. Follow us on our social media channels. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.